Rewinding number 4 Auburn basketball's 81-77 win against number 24 Alabama make it a dirty dozen for Bruce Pearl and his squad. Number 4 Auburn scrapped out a big-time road win, staving off number 24 Alabama 81-77 Tuesday night in Coleman Coliseum. The Tigers have won 12 straight since their lone loss of the season and are now 4-0 in SEC play. Read more Auburn and Alabama basketball. This is next level, what it's like from the other side of an Auburn basketball Twitter storm. Pearl, Auburn will need best game of season vs. Dangerous Alabama. Nate Oates used Herb Jones as lesson for JD Davison. Others. Auburn got a career-high 25 points from Jabari Smith, who led 4 Tigers in double figures. Wendell Green Jr. had 19 on the night, while KD Johnson had 13. Alan Flanigan finished with 10, including 4 big free throws inside the final minute to ice the game for Auburn. Alabama had 5 players score in double figures, led by Devan Cambridge's 14. Jaden Shackelford had 13, and the backcoat duo helped the Tide mount a furious comeback down the stretch before the Tigers held on for the win. Noah Gurley finished with 11 points, while Keon Ellis and Darius Miles had 10 apiece. Below is a blow-by-blow recap of Tuesday's action. Final, Auburn 81, Alabama 77. Dylan Cardwell with a huge block. Alabama hasn't made a field goal in 4+ minutes. Auburn is going to escape with the win. 2 more from the line for Flanigan, and Auburn leads 81-77 with 19.7 seconds to play. Alan Flanigan sinks 2 free throws with 58.6 seconds to play. Auburn leads 79-77. KD Johnson and Jabari Smith collide and hit the deck under the basket. Both get up after a few moments. 1:42 to play, and it's tied at 77-77 after a pair of Noah Gurley free throws. He has 11 points. Circus shot by KD Johnson, and Auburn is ahead 77-75 with 2:04 to play. Jaden Shackelford ties it at 75-75 with a pair of free throws, as Auburn is called for its 23rd foul of the night. Jabari Smith ends the scoring drought for Auburn with a pair of free throws. He has a career-high 25 points, and Auburn is back in front by 2. Auburn 73, Alabama 73 under, 4 timeout. Auburn hasn't scored in 4+ minutes and just committed another turnover on a Jabari Smith offensive foul. Alabama has made 5 of its last 6 shots, while Auburn has missed 5 straight from the field. Tie game. Alabama on a 14-0 run to tie it at 73-73 with under 4 minutes to play. Auburn's lead is down to 2 after another 3-pointer from Jaden Shackelford. Tied on a 12-0 run. Walker Kessler with an offensive foul on the other end. His night is over. Just 2 points and 2 rebounds. Monster dunk by JD Davison over Walker Kessler, and the foul, but he misses the free throw. It's a 5-point game. That's Kessler's 4th foul. Alabama on a 7-0 run, and Auburn's lead is cut in half after back-to-back 3-pointers by Devan Cambridge and Jaden Shackelford. Auburn 73, Alabama 59 under, 8 timeout. Walker Kessler gets his first block, and then his first points of the game with less than 9 minutes to play. Then Jabari Smith drains a corner 3-pointer. Auburn's lead is 14 with 7:52 to go, and Smith has 23 points. Tigers have knocked down 5 of 8 from deep in the second half. Auburn 68, Alabama 57. Alabama timeout, 5 straight points by Wendell Green Jr. First, he splits 2 defenders at the top of the key and glides to the rim for a nice finish. Then he drains a deep 3-pointer. Auburn's lead is back to 11 points, and Green has 19 on the night. Dylan Cardwell with a dunk off an assist from Wendell Green Jr. snaps an 8-0 run by the Tide. Dylan Cardwell called for a flagrant foul after an official review. That'll be 2 shots, plus the ball, for Alabama with 11:09 to play. Keon Ellis makes both free throws, and it's a 4-point game. Auburn 61, Alabama 55 under, 12 timeout. Alabama on a 6-0 run over the last minute, and it's a 6-point game. Over the back foul on Devan Cambridge. Alabama will be in the bonus for the final 12:22 of the game. Wendell Green Jr., again, he is 14, and Auburn's lead is up to 12. Auburn 57, Alabama 47 under, 16 timeout. Another 3-pointer from Wendell Green Jr. He has 12 points, and Auburn has its first double-digit lead of the game, 57-47, with 15 minutes to play. Auburn has 3 players in double figures. Alabama has just 1. Wendell Green Jr. with a 3-pointer. Neither team shooting great from deep. Auburn is 4 of 16, while Alabama is 4 of 17. Tigers have made 3 of their last 5 from deep, however. Jabari Smith now with 20 points. Auburn leads 49-43 with 17:21. Jew and Gary now has 4 fouls. Walker Kessler picks up his 3rd foul with 18:03 to go in the game. Auburn is ahead 45-41 after Keon Ellis splits the free throws. Jabari Smith up to 16 points after a 3-pointer. His shot is so smooth. Alabama opens the half with a Keon Ellis 3-pointer. That was his first shot attempt of the night, and it draws Alabama within 2, 40-38. Halftime, Auburn 40, Alabama 35. Jabari Smith ends the first half with 13 points on 8 shots, to go along with 3 blocks and a pair of rebounds. KD Johnson with 9 points, 5 rebounds and 3 steals for the Tigers, who are ahead despite shooting just 2 of 14 13 from three-point range. Noah Gurley leads Alabama with 7 points. Tide are just 3 of 14 from deep tonight. Both teams with 8 turnovers. Auburn has an edge on the boards, 25-19. Devan Cambridge with a putback to put Auburn ahead, 40-35 at halftime. Flanigan now with 2 quick fouls for Auburn in the final few minutes of the half. Alabama draws within 3, 36-33, after a pair of Noah Gurley free throws. JD Johnson makes both free throws to give Auburn a 9-point lead, but Alabama answers with an and one by JD Davison. Auburn 32, Alabama 25 under, 4 timeout. JD Johnson knocks down a deep three-pointer from the top of the key. He then gets a steal and is fouled on a drive. He'll go to the line for a pair after the timeout. He has 7 points and 5 rebounds, plus a steal, for Auburn tonight. He has been playing at a ridiculous speed. JD Davison ends the Alabama scoring drought with a transition layup. It's Auburn 29, Alabama 25. Auburn 29, Alabama 23, alley-oop to Devan Cambridge. Auburn is on a 6-0 since the break, and Alabama has missed its last 4 field goal attempts and hasn't scored in 2-13. Wendell Green Jr. with a floater out of the timeout, and Auburn is back in front. Auburn 23, Alabama 23 under, 8 timeout. Jabari Smith is carrying Auburn here in the first half. Alabama is getting a very balanced effort, with 4 players with 4 points apiece and 7 players on the scoresheet. Jabari Smith with 5 straight points for Auburn. He has 11 of the team's first 23 points, as well as 3 blocks here in the first half. It's 23-20, Auburn. Smith has scored in double figures in 13 consecutive games now. Flanigan with a layup out of the timeout to tie things up. Wendell Green Jr. with an offensive rebound on the other end for a tip-in. First offensive board for the Tide. Alabama 18, Auburn 16 under, 12 timeout. Noah Gurley drains a three-pointer to put the Tide ahead at the second media timeout. Alabama is 2 of 5 from deep. Auburn just 1 of 8 from three-point range to far. Alabama is also 6 of 6 from the free throw line, while Auburn is just 1 of 4. Wendell Green Jr. with a fadeaway jumper to end the drought for Auburn. Flanigan then gets a contested fast break to put Auburn back in front, 16-15. Auburn has missed 7 straight shots and has made just 2 of its last 10 field goal attempts while in a 2:31 scoring drought. Alabama up 15-12. Wendell Green Jr. checks back in for Auburn. Tigers trail the Tide, 13-12, with 13:11 to play in the first half. Wendell Green Jr. was hit in the face before the under 16 timeout and is out of the game at the moment. Big putback dunk from Cardwell out of the timeout. Auburn is going to need some big minutes from him, especially with Walker Kessler in foul trouble. Cardwell then blocks a three-pointer on the other end. Auburn 10, Alabama 10 under, 16 timeout. Jabari Smith has 6 points on 2 of 2 shooting for Auburn. Alabama is 3 of 5 from the field but 0 of 2 from three-point range early. A drive by Jaden Shackelford gives Alabama a 10-8 lead, but Jabari Smith quickly ties it up with a mid-range pull-up. Jabari Smith drains a three-pointer to make it 8-6, but then Walker Kessler picks up his second foul with 16:58 to play. Second game in a row he has been in foul trouble. He heads to the bench, with Cardwell checking in. Nice floater from Flanigan to put Auburn in front. Walker Kessler then called for a late foul on the other end, and Alabama ties it at the free throw line. JD Johnson wastes no time for Auburn, scores in the first 5 seconds of action for the early 2-0 lead, but Devan Cambridge responds for Alabama to tie it up. Pre-game, Auburn lineup: G. Zep Jasper, G. KD Johnson, G. Flanigan, F. Jabari Smith, F. Walker Kessler. Alabama lineup: G. Devan Cambridge, G. Jaden Shackelford, G. Keon Ellis, F. Devan Cambridge, C. Charles Bediako. Auburn will have its full roster available for just the 3rd time this season and for the 2nd consecutive game. The Tigers do not have any COVID or injury-related absences against the Tide. Tom Green is an Auburn beat reporter for Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at Thomas_Verde.